Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of Honda Street Garage. I am feeling better, and Charlie behind me is...
Twerk at work, baby.
Yeah, so today we're going to be discussing all the ins and outs of the swap, and we're going to tell you how much the swap cost. So stay tuned for all that. Yeah, I mean, well, you know, we're going to get into all the ins and outs of what the swap costs.
We're talking down to the penny.
Today we will be continuing to work on the K-swap, trying to fix a few issues. I'm putting everything kind of back together. I need to clean up my shop, but right now I need to go get a dedicated battery for it. The video you saw previously, if you watched it, if you haven't, go watch it. The car was running on the battery that I have in my daily driver. Now I'm on my way to go pick up a battery at a place called Battery Specialist, which is local here, and they usually have the cheapest batteries. So, you know, I'm not a millionaire. You always got to be, you know, bargain hunting, I guess. Anyway, so we're gonna go pick up a battery and we'll be back in a minute. I've actually had a few people ask, you know, what my DD is, and I'll be honest with you that sometimes I get daily drivers relatively cheap, and then I'll kind of sell them, kind of flip them up, you know, here and there. And but currently this one I got for cheap, and I really love it. I don't know if I want to sell this one off. I kind of want to keep this one almost for the next project, which I think a lot of people will want, but then, you know, it kind of has been done before. Anyway, so it's got nice AC, which is nice. I'm driving a 97 hatchback, EK hatchback, or, you know, EJ6, as it's called. It's auto tragic. It's not the greatest in the world, but the reason why I got it is because you know, it's hard to find these at this point, you know, especially in decent condition. The paint on this car is pretty terrible. The body is really straight for the most part. There's no rust or anything like that, and it drives great. You know, it's got over 200,000 miles, whatever, but it's got AC, power steering, and stock suspension. And that's all you need in a daily driver. But I can't help but want to, you know, swap it to a manual, maybe even B20 swap it, or what I really like to do is B16B swap it, but I don't have the budget for that. So anybody that wants to give me a B16B, let me know.
Add it in the budget, bro.
I've definitely, so what's up with the current swap? I will say that I've still got some things to do. The idling issue, I need to replace the throttle body gasket, clean the air idle control valve, and of course I still haven't really touched the interior. Looks like an absolute mess in here. Just trying to get the
Snapchat Live, bro.
Snapchat Live. We're filming and Snapchatting at the same time. I'm just trying to get the car running right, and then I'll finally finish putting it back together and then really take it for some pulls, which will be fun. I will have to say that the K-Series has surprised me. I so far enjoy it far more than I thought I would.
But you didn't expect to spend
I didn't expect, but I did not expect to spend what I had to spend. Now the reason why Charlie is behind you dancing is because he's so excited, because guess what he's now doing?
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K!
So your boy thought I was gonna kill him in the game. So he said I got to come up with you people. That's what he said. Shit's fire.
That way you still know there's a bit of America in there.
Yeah, you better get that sticker off there before I get upset. Now, Charlie actually opted to go with the better K-Series platform, in my opinion. Here's the thing, Charlie went with a K20A2, and see, what he needs to do is give me the swap out of his car so I can put it in Project Zero to Hero. But he's being a butthole about it. He wants money for it.
Who would ever want that?
Why? Because K-swaps are not cheap. I'm telling you, man, the paint is awful on this thing, but the body is straight as balls. What I have here is a K20A2 with matching transmission, 6-speed, out of a 02 RS6 Type S. The transmission is the 4.3 final drive. The obvious things here is that I have the Hotsport mounts, e.g. K2 mounts, which is the second version, which allow you to run either the K20 or the K24. And what's great about this is that it gives me perfect hood clearance. I didn't have to cut anything out. I also have the EP3 idler pulley. I have a single dual core radiator with fan and shroud. Had to fix some leaks, so if you see that it's kind of dirty underneath the hood, I still got to clean it. The K-tuned radiator stay, and a lot of people have commented that this drives them crazy because it's not exactly straight. I wanted to show that you could put this in and bolt it in using factory bolt holes. Just make it so it's easy. This might be something that I change in the future, but for now I just wanted to use something that was already there, that I didn't have to drill or anything like that. And the same thing goes for the feet that the radiator sits in. Now, the charge harness is just a single wire that I pulled from the EG harness. It's hooked to the alternator. It runs along with the starter wire. They're paired up and they are kind of tucked down underneath here, and they run to the fuse box underneath the battery. I have the O2 RSX throttle cable. I might be wrong about that. The JB tuned fuel lines. I have K-tuned hoses, heater hoses, K-tune radiator hoses, and a clutch soft line. Grounds are here on the motor and on the trans over there. I don't know if you can see that. I've got the wires kind of running back underneath. I do have a 10-pound flywheel with a stage 1 clutch. I have a chase base harness with the chase base sub harness. Now this might look like a mess right now, and I've got to clean all this up. Clearly this is not how it's going to stay. This is all getting buttoned up today. I am running the PRC JDM ECU, and there are 2 wires off of the harness that I had to run. One was the check engine light, or the MIL, which they call it, and then one was to the fuel pump that also had to be grounded. That's why this bunk-ass wiring you see right here is done. I'm going to clean all of this up and make it look nice and beautiful. It will not be half-assed looking like this. At the moment, I'm definitely not trying to show this car off. I'm just trying to go over what you have to do to get it running. And now, once I get the idle issue taken care of, all of this will go back to being a nice, pretty clean car. I haven't even washed it. And I also have EP3 axles. It's one thing that you can use for the 92 to 95 chassis. I'm not sure if it works for the EK chassis. eBay header, I'm not gonna lie about that, that's just an eBay header. And then I have the K-tuned no-cut shifter box that mounts underneath, and I am absolutely in love with it. I love the way it feels. I love the way it installed. It was quite easy. I'll show you. So this is this piece of beauty right here. 2 bolts bolted up here, which is where the factory shift linkage goes. And then I had to drill 2 holes, which I showed in a previous video. I ran the cables, and it just absolutely functions perfectly. I love it. I do have a 5-speed knob on here, but that's just because I like the feel of the spoon knob. All of the gauges function correctly. I do have a chase base harness, but they are now called Chandler Auto Sport if you want to look them up. Battery in the car. I pulled it out. I bled the system again. And still I've got an up and down idle. And I'm starting to suspect that throttle body gasket is having an issue, and I took it off. And it's pretty thin right around here. So I've got another throttle body gasket on the way. I'm gonna go ahead and scrape all this both sides off of the razor blade. See if that works. Let's hope it does. Mystery is still out as far as the idle surge is concerned. I'm not sure if the air idle control valve is bad at this point, or there's something up with the wiring. Everybody that I talk to basically asks me to just go into my K-Pro and make adjustments. However, I am not running on K-Pro. You know, the idle issue continues. My plan was to drive this up and down the street and kind of drive it around today and really give you an impression of it, but I still cannot get this air idle control valve situated. I'm running on the PRC Type R ECU, so that's a factory ECU, The harness, the Chase Base harness that I'm running is actually for the K Pro. So obviously I need to get K Pro before I can really dive into this, but you know, it's one step at a time. These type of swaps definitely take time, and if you really want to be able to do a K swap like this and turnkey and have it running perfectly right off the bat, obviously it's going to cost more money. K Pro is not cheap. If you do not have an ECU or core, it usually runs about $850 to $1,000. Sometimes you can get it as cheap as $650 if you have an ECU as in a core. That's definitely is get K Pro and you know, start getting some upgrades later on down the road. But for now, my main concern is just to be able to drive it up and down the street, at least take it to the exhaust shop and have it fixed. Okay, so all in all, what did I spend on this swap? Well, clearly I've gone above and beyond with the paint and the execution on the swap, and I was very thankful to have some sponsors on board, so that definitely helped out a lot as well. But I would say the average... fuck was that? Anyway, I would say that the average K-Series swap is going to cost... shooting t-shirts in the air. Let me try to say this again. I would say that the average cost of going to a K swap, especially a K20A2 swap or a K20R swap, is going to cost you in the $4,000 to $5,000 to $6,000 range. So the question bears down, how much did I spend on the K swap? Well, I think I totaled it up personally. If you don't count the paint and you don't count you know, sponsors, and you count actual dollar amount that I have in this engine, I have roughly about maybe $3,000 in this engine swap. However, that is not to say that that's what I have in it as far as what it's worth. The DA Integra I traded for the swap, and normally these swaps go easily for $3,500 to $4,000, and that's kind of why I did it. Now I know that's kind of cheap and that's kind of lucky, and I kind of came out ahead on this one, at least I hope. But don't get me wrong, I do have a lot more in this entirely. So if you count the fact that I basically have about $3,000 in the swap, and then you count up the paint and some of the other odds and ends. Anyway, so I'm going to close this video out here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Click like, click subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. There goes the loud muscle car. I'll see you in the next video, which should be another day. Thank you guys. Peace out and keep on living your dream.